welcome back to Open, everyone. So Dr. Martin Luther King his holiday is coming up on Monday, and for those who are just learning of his history, he was a social rights activist, leader, and a political pioneer who, he evoked love and change in this country with I Have a Dream speech, and of course, much more than that. His legacy lives forever, and in celebration of the upcoming Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, we have the Museum of the City of New York Puffin Foundation Curator of Social Activism to discuss the activist exhibition at the museum, which of course includes Dr. Martin Luther King. Please welcome Sarah Seidman. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here.
It's lovely, the work that the Museum of the City of New York does. I walk by there all the time. And the fact that obviously it's the Museum of the City of New York, what stands out for me in the work that's always presented is the urbanism that's captured. I don't even know if that's a word.
It is perfect.
Because that's what for me attracts my eye and my attention. And so, because you're the curator for this particular exhibition, how do you seek the people, the photographers, the artists to tell this story? How do you go about doing that?
Right, so I curate Activist New York, which is an ongoing show, and it covers histories of activism, that get at the urbanism that you're speaking of, from like the 1600s through today, from the Dutch colonial presence through the movement for Black Lives and racial justice now. So it covers a lot of ground. Obviously can't do everything, but try to capture as many and as diverse a range of New York stories as we can, and civil rights movement is one of them, and we have a few pieces on King in there that really get at what we like to think of as some lesser known aspects of his work, whether it was opposing the Vietnam War in a speech at Riverside Church in 1967, or coming up to the city a lot to give press conferences. So he's kind of, one more well-known figure of many, many New Yorkers in the exhibition.
In the exhibition, right. And of course, because this holiday is on Monday, you have something special that is also inclusive of the children, which is important for them to partake in because all they recognize is that it's a holiday that they get off from school.
Right.
Some, I'm saying, not all, but as they develop, that's all they know. It's like, oh, I get a holiday off. And then as they grow, they start learning of who this individual was, who this icon is and was, and his relevance in our way of being and the way we operate in society.
Absolutely, and hopefully, and as amazing as I Have a Dream is, that we hope kids learn in school or at the museum about some of the work he did around economic justice, right, anti-war, peace, like global human rights, as well as kind of connecting that to racism at home. So we have a family program on Monday from 11 to 2, free for folks of all ages, families, kids, adults, and there will be storytelling, books about Martin Luther King and other civil rights activists and leaders, and art making, and then a scavenger hunt in the Activist New York exhibition where kids can look for different civil rights figures, King and others. Coretta Scott King also, who makes an appearance in our anti-nuclear section. So again, showing the kind of range of issues that King and Coretta Scott King, who's really an activist in her own right, that they worked on.
And so, these children living in this era now, I'm going to stay away from the politics. Like, how are you relating it to the now?
I was just looking over so King gave, so much relevance,
right. And it's sad. I mean, I'm saying it in this way, but it's sad that it's even repeating itself or has reverted back, into just like, oh gosh, we got to start all over again.
Definitely the fight for racial equality and justice is not over. Some of the issues around segregation and also voting access and voting rights, but also war and the anti-war movement, as well as economic justice. I was just looking over, notes from King's commencement speech at City College in 1963, which he gave, and talked about the denouncing the gap between inordinate wealth and abject poverty. And, I'd like to think maybe King would be in Puerto Rico with hurricane relief,
Absolutely.
or,
I
working
think
on
so.
these issues today.
Do we have any images that we can show of just a taste of the exhibition? And I believe he would be there because look, there he is. And so these are the images that are going to be on display.
These are in our collection, and then the ones on display, right, I think it'll cycle through, are of him speaking at Riverside Church, and we have an excerpt of his speech denouncing war, which he got a lot of criticism for. I think that's the other thing about King, is that we want to remember, like, not to sanitize him, the immense opposition that he faced at the time, denouncing the war. Everyone sort of denounced him for taking that position, including Lyndon Johnson and the New York Times. They said, what does a civil rights leader have to do with war?
Right.
Which is
right, because he was a humanitarian. They didn't get
right.
it.
cared about all people, including African Americans in the war.
Right.
But yeah, making a lot of those connections. So we have audio, we have a few photographs of him on display, and some of his words that we know will continue to resonate with people of all ages.
And is there free admission for this?
Yes, it's a free program with museum admission, which is suggested admission.
Right,
and
suggested admission.
we want as many people to have access to the program as possible.
I love it. I think it's great. And thank you for coming here.
Thank
bringing
you
it to
so
our
much.
audience.
Thank you.
And you guys, once again, I know Monday is a day off from school, but this is a wonderful opportunity to spend some quality time with your family. And so on Monday, January 20th, be sure to check out how they're honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King and learn about his work as a civil rights leader at the Museum of the City of New York. And that, of course, is located at 1220 Fifth Avenue on 103rd Street, and that's happening between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And for more information, you can visit mcny.org. And, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up, we'll learn about a children's book focusing on hygiene. Don't go anywhere.